Well, the man arrested in the case of killing UnitedHealthcare CEO showing fight outside and inside the courtroom. So here's your headline. Luigi Mangione fighting extradition as a Pennsylvania judge also denies him bail. So we wanted to show you this outburst one more time Mangione had as he was about to enter that courtroom. Listen.
And insult to the intelligence of the American people.
He's got a message there, obviously. The 26-year-old Ivy League grad arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania. He faces many charges, including second-degree murder in connection to Thompson's death. So let's go live now to CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano, not far from where he was caught and cuffed. We understand you just got some breaking news from the NYPD. What can you tell us?
That's right, Reed. We're not far from where he was caught, and we're not far from where he is. He is in this prison in Huntington, Pennsylvania, relatively close to Altoona, where he was arrested. The NYPD Chief Joseph Kenny, has just announced that the NYPD was able to retrieve a fingerprint from a cell phone that was found in the scene of the crime, and that they are currently analyzing this fingerprint. We had been hearing reports from sources close to the investigation that the NYPD had recovered a water bottle or a cup at the Starbucks where they saw a person who they believed was the shooter minutes before the shooting, and that they were analyzing that. We are not certain what the status of that water bottle is, but that's far away from the scene. We're talking about a cell phone that police have said was found at the scene of the crime, near where those shell casings that read deny, depose, deflect, where Brian Thompson was killed. This cell phone apparently has one fingerprint. This one fingerprint is currently being analyzed and compared with the prints that were lifted when Luigi Mangione was arrested in Altoona. If that is a match, this story changes, because it would place, according to police, the suspect at the scene of the crime, not just in New York. We are awaiting to hear from the NYPD what the results of that is. And look, the attorney who is representing Mangione here in Pennsylvania has said, I haven't seen any evidence, not only that this is not the shooter, but that his client is not the fugitive that the NYPD had been looking for 6 days. So we're paying very, very close attention to the results and whatever NYPD can confirm about whether they can place Mangione in the scene of the crime of this murder. That perhaps could weigh in terms of the strength of the case. It doesn't seem like it at this point in terms of when he will be extradited,
right?
Because at least for the next 2 weeks, Mangione, via his defense attorney, can still fight the extradition, saying, we don't know what the charges are. We don't have the proper documents. We're waiting for that from the state. But after that, I assume that his defense attorney will have to figure out a different defense from there's nothing that I've seen that connects him to this crime. Still very much a suspect. We're waiting on confirmation from the NYPD about the results of that analysis of that, what sounds like one fingerprint, according to Chief Kenny.
And Lilia, what we do best on this broadcast is turn around breaking news. When we see it, our viewers see it. We just got a little bit of sound from the NYPD speaking to what you were just mentioning. Stay with us. Let's go ahead and play that, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
We have DNA. We have fingerprints. That's all still being processed.
Were there any fingerprints on the bullets?
No fingerprints on the bullets at this time, but we did have one fingerprint on the cell phone that was recovered.
Now we're talking about the cell phone that was in the alley.
Yes, that's correct.
And you believe that cell phone was his as well?
Yes.
Did he drop it intentionally?
Don't know that, but we do have his DNA from the water bottle is the same DNA that matches up to that phone.
So this really speaks to what you were talking about so well a moment ago, Lilia. This speaks to placement at the location of the crime, correct?
That's right. I mean, we're talking about DNA from the water bottle and then a fingerprint. When it comes to biometric data like this, it's often hard to fight a case, as you know. I mean, there's so many cases where the defense is all about circumstantial evidence, but if there are matches between what is recovered here or what is retrieved from the person who was arrested and what was found at the scene of the crime, of course, you have a much stronger case. What will the defense be? We're still waiting. Perhaps there's a delay on that as his defense attorney, who's representing him here in Pennsylvania, continues to delay, perhaps on technicalities or asking for more information. But this is not the only evidence, of course, that police are weighing. There was a ghost gun that was recovered, that was taken from him. The Altoona Police Department, I asked them if he had provided DNA. They were not sure. It sounds like the NYPD is the one that was handling that, and they make sure to send us to the NYPD. But certainly that's a possibility that they already got DNA from him. I'm not sure what the process is in Pennsylvania. Certainly when you're booked, they do take your fingerprints. So it sounds like they're analyzing the fingerprints. And from what Kenny was saying, it sounds like the fingerprint and the DNA from the bottle or other metrics might have matched. There's also, as I said, the gun, and there was this 3-page document which the NYPD says has plenty of statements that could serve their investigation and the case to show motive. Things like these parasites, had it coming to them or something along those lines that was found in this 3-page document, along with other statements that could serve as very strong evidence as this suspect is prosecuted in New York.
Right. Our legal experts have said that could very well serve the prosecution's argument for intent and motive, like you just said. You know, I think the entire world is just trying to figure out who this guy is, his background, where he came from. There's also some reporting regarding a missing persons report in San Francisco. We know that Mangione years ago participated in a Stanford, California program not far away from San Francisco. What can you tell us about that missing persons report as we try to wrap our brains around who this guy is?
Yeah, we also know that Mangione was working for a company that at some point was headquartered in San Francisco, although he had been working remotely at the time that he was living in Hawaii. We know that his life was successful when he was younger. He was a very high academically achieved individual or student in high school. He was valedictorian. He went to an Ivy League. He has a master's degree. He was a fraternity brother. He had many friends. His social media is filled with these photos, and you can tell that he was a popular person, also highly intelligent, also very well read. He was reviewing books on Goodreads and writing extensively about, and studying things. At one point, what we found from his account, which has now been made private, was studying the Ted Kaczynski Manifesto. I asked one of his close friends when he was living in Hawaii and working remotely about this specifically, and what his friend told me was, look, I proposed it along with another member of our book club as a joke. And then we started reading it, and we couldn't get through it because the writing was too boring. It didn't seem like it made such a big impact, much less on him. He didn't seem, he had opinions. They all discussed this book, this manifesto, but he didn't feel like there was anything that was radicalized in him from this book in particular, although I'm sure this is something that investigators are looking for. He said that he was social, that he was caring, that he had many friends, but that he was withdrawn when it came to pain, that he had been suffering pain for a long time. We understand that he had a surgery in July of 2023 to treat some back issues that he had been dealing with for years, but that got worse after a surfing accident in Hawaii and after slipping. And so that shift perhaps in somebody who is, and I'm no expert, I'm no doctor, I'm no psychologist, but what his friend told me is that when he was withdrawn, when he seemed to take to his own, was when he was dealing with the severe pain, and that it seemed like a major theme in his life. We are working so hard, all of our teams at CBS News, from the confirmed team to the crime unit to everybody, reaching out to try and understand and paint a picture and put a picture together about what happened in this young man's life as we approach what will be a very high-profile trial eventually in New York, and try to understand what's in his mind. Of course, he's still a suspect in this case, but there's a lot of evidence, and I think people are wondering, how do you go from that kind of profile, upbringing, social life, enjoyment, to a situation where you are the suspect in an assassination?
Well, and Lilia, what's fascinating to me as I've been doing my own research, there's some reporting out this morning that his presence on social media dropped off between 3 and 6 months before
Yes.
this shooting. And a lot of people are wondering what could happen in that 3 to 6 month span of time to cause him, if he indeed was, to feel radicalized in some sort of a way. Do you think that 3 to 6 month drop off is also going to be studied as it relates to his mindset?
Absolutely, I'm sure everything is going to be studied, and there's plenty of there's a lot of he has a wide enough footprint online. Even though police have said that he had put his cell phone while they were looking for him, that part of what they found in his possession when he was arrested was a bag where you can prevent a signal. There's a lot before he was arrested, and yes, his friend also told me that he hadn't spoken with him for months. There are posts from friends asking, where are you? We've been reaching out, are you severely isolated? Something like that. His last post on X was in June. He had posted about his about suffering with these back issues, and the chief of police in San Francisco confirmed to KPEX, to your station there in San Francisco, that in fact there was a police report, a missing persons report from his mother, but wouldn't expand on many of the other details. So how long he was talking to his family, for how long his family hadn't heard from him, we don't know, but we know that the friends we've heard from had lost touch, and that there were explicit messages asking for him to call back or to show signs of life. I'm sure they're looking into that gap.
Right, and for our viewers at home, we are working very hard to get our hands on that actual physical missing persons report that you referenced there in the city of San Francisco. Fascinating conversation. Thank you so much for your wide knowledge of this case, Lilia Luciano.
Thank you, Reed.
You have a great day. Try to warm up. It looks pretty drizzly where you are.